Out here, the West ain't just dust and gun smoke, it's blood, betrayal, and legends carved in iron. These are the forgotten tales of outlaws, lawmen, and drifters chasing gold, vengeance, and redemption. Welcome to Dust and Iron Tales. Anya Sharma stepped cautiously between the towering, crystalline trunks of the petrified forest, her boots crunching softly on the ash-grey ground. The colors of the fossilized trees shimmered in the harsh Arizona sun, their hues ranging from ruby reds to deep violets, whispering stories of a vanished world. Clutching her notebook, she paused to scan the landscape, feeling the weight of centuries pressing against her, almost tangible in the silent air. Suddenly, she noticed a faint, irregular crack in one of the brightest, most vivid logs that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly glow. Her instincts as a geologist kicked in. This might be a rare mineral deposit or evidence of a natural process she'd read about but never seen firsthand. As she knelt down, a gust of dry wind carried with it a strange whisper, almost like the forest itself was murmuring secrets she couldn't quite hear. She hesitated, torn between scientific curiosity and a growing sense that some parts of this ancient landscape might be better left undisturbed. Beside her, a small, grainy photograph fell from her pack, a reminder of what was at stake if others began carving or damaging this fragile wonder. In her heart, she knew that the forest's preservation held a moral dimension and obligation to honor the centuries of silence and stillness. Further in, a faint shimmer of something metallic caught her eye, very near the roots of one of the largest fossil trees, sparking her to dig carefully. As she revealed the object, she found a rusted, old metal box, oddly out of place amidst the prehistoric serenity of the landscape. With trembling hands, she examined the box, wondering who might have hidden it here and why so many decades ago. A sudden, profound sense of connection washed over her. This was more than just a fossil site, it was a relic of human stories intertwined with nature's own history. She wrestled briefly with the moral dilemma of whether to report or find immediately or keep it to herself, fearing that revealing it might lead to looting. The wind shifted, carrying whispers she couldn't decipher, but they seemed to urge her to consider the preservation of the site above all else. Anya finally decided to document her find thoroughly, knowing that the forest's silent, ancient voice deserved respect and safeguarding. Walking back toward her camp, she felt an unwavering resolve to protect this fragile monument of time, even if it meant resisting temptation. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the rainbow-hued trees, she pledged to herself that some stories were too sacred to disturb. The petrified forest seemed to acknowledge her choice in a reverent, almost spiritual silence, its colors fading softly into the encroaching dusk. As she stepped closer to the edge of the ancient trees, a faint whisper of wind seemed to carry stories long buried beneath the gnarled branches. The ground beneath her feet felt both solid and shifting, as if the earth itself remembered every secret ever held within its soil. Her fingertips brushed the rough bark of a twisted cedar, and she sensed an unspoken acknowledgement from the forest, as if it recognized her respect. In that quiet moment, she noticed how the sunlight filtered through the canopy in fractured, golden patches casting a mesmerizing glow. A flock of distant crows took flight, their silhouettes dark against the dimming sky, echoing the solemnity of the setting. She hesitated, feeling the weight of countless stories embedded in this land, stories too sacred to be hastily told or trivialized. The landscape stretched out like an ancient mosaic, each stone and root a fragment of a larger, sacred narrative. As darkness crept closer, a subtle shimmer caught her eye, perhaps a trick of the fading light or a slight movement in the shadows. In the quiet, she could almost hear the faint heartbeat of the forest, steady and deep beyond her understanding. Her breathing slowed, aligning with the rhythm of the woods, an ancient pulse that had persisted through centuries. Behind her, she sensed the way the forest seemed to pulse with patience, waiting for stories that might never be voiced aloud again. A lone owl hooted softly, breaking the silence with a lonely, deliberate call that felt like a benediction or a farewell. She reached into her pocket, clutching a small, one-token gift from someone who knew the weight of sacred silence. For a moment she closed her eyes, making space for the story she felt lurking just beneath her consciousness. The sunset bled into the night, and stars blinked awake, mirroring the scattered embers of a sacred fire. A gentle, almost imperceptible breeze lifted her hair, as if the roots of the forest had breathed out a final blessing. When she opened her eyes again, she felt lighter, unburdened by the need to explain or understand everything. Turning away slowly, she carried the quiet reverence of the moment, knowing some stories would remain forever untouched. As she moved away from the ancient tree, she appreciated the way the sunlight filtered softly through the leaves, casting dappled patterns on the ground. Her footsteps felt unhurried, almost weightless, as if the weight of her worries had dissipated into the gentle breeze. In her mind, she replayed the quiet revelation that sometimes letting go of answers can be a form of understanding itself. A subtle smile touched her lips as she remembered how she previously pushed herself to decipher every sign, every subtle shift in her surroundings. Now she embraced the mystery, feeling a profound sense of peace and surrender into the unknown. The air around her was thick with that unspoken reverence, a sacred acknowledgement that some stories are safer not to be unraveled. Her eyes traced the contours of the landscape, noticing how the world whispered its secrets in delicate silences. With each step, she felt lighter, like shedding an unnecessary burden that had clung to her shoulders for too long. The distant hum of insects and the soft rustle of branches seemed to echo her newfound clarity that some questions are simply meant to be enjoyed in their mystery. She paused momentarily to breathe in deeply, craving nothing more than the pure, unfiltered present. The moment expanded inside her, filling spaces that once harbored confusion or restless curiosity. Her mind gently drifted to the story she dearly once fought to understand, now acknowledging the beauty and the ambiguity. She sensed that she was grounded in a quiet reverence, a silent pact with the world to respect its secrets. As she turned fully away from the tree, her heart felt unburdened, free from the need to analyze every detail. The serenity she carried forward was like a small, sacred flame, flickering softly in the depths of her soul. She walked onward, embracing the subtle magic of not knowing what lay ahead, feeling a gentle excitement for the stories yet to be written. The familiar landscape around her seemed to shimmer with new significance, every shadow and light holding unseen meaning. She understood that some stories leave their mark in silence etched into the fabric of her being. With a gentle resolve, she stepped forward into the quiet, knowing that some mysteries are best left untouched, cherished in the realm of memory and wonder. The sunlight drifted softly through the cracked window, casting a warm glow on her trembling hands. She reached out, fingertips grazing the faded photograph tucked between the pages of an old journal. The image revealed a younger version of herself, laughing beneath the sky thick with stars, a moment she believed long lost to time. A faint tremor ran through her chest as she closed her eyes, savoring that elusive sense of innocence and hope. Her mind replayed the muffled sounds of childhood secrets and whispered promises, not just distant echoes. She knew that unearthing the past could fracture the fragile peace she had forged in its absence. Yet the urge to understand, to reconcile with those unspoken truths, tugged persistently at her heart. The air grew still, oppressive with unspoken emotion, as memories threatened to surface unbidden. She took a slow, deep breath, grounding herself in the present, in the silent strength she had cultivated. Her gaze lingered on the photograph, tracing the contours of a fleeting smile, a ghost of happier days. Quietly, she replaced the picture in the journal, sealing away bits of her history she had guarded fiercely. As she turned away, a sense of quiet acceptance settled over her, granting permission to let some questions remain unresolved. With a final, lingering glance at the past, she stepped back into her everyday life, carrying the weight and wonder of those memories silently within. A gentle smile crept onto her face, knowing that some mysteries flourish best in the realm of gentle remembrance. The world outside would beckoning her forward with its endless, unsolved stories. And so she moved onward, her spirit both anchored in, liberated by the quiet mystery she chose to keep inside. With every step she took, the air grew thicker with unseen potentials, like whispers carried by the wind just beyond her reach. The sky above was a canvas of shifting shades, clouds swirling in slow, deliberate patterns that seemed to hint at secrets only she could interpret. Her eyes scanned the horizon, catching glimpses of distant mountains that loomed like silent guardians over the world as unspoken truths. A gentle breeze tugged at her hair, carrying with it the scent of wildflowers and the promise of discovery. Her fingers brushed along the rough bark of an ancient tree, feeling its story pulsing beneath the rugged surface, as if it held the memories of countless generations. She paused by a creek, watching the water tangle over stones and drift away, a mirror to her own restless nature. Sometimes she wondered what lay beneath the surfaces she encountered, what stories went unheard or unseen, quietly waiting to be uncovered. She carried her own history within her, wrapped up like a fragile, intricate embroidery of hopes and fears. Her footsteps were careful now, each one deliberate, mindful of the delicate balance between curiosity and caution. Shadows lengthened, casting a golden glow that seemed to set everything apart in a fleeting silence, almost sacred. The world's mysteries deepened as she wandered further into the wilderness, where time felt unhinged and infinite. She allowed herself to feel the weight and wonder of it all, knowing that her journey was as much internal as external. Every breath she took was a testament to her resilience, a quiet declaration that she was still searching, still learning. Despite the vastness around her, she carried the subtle serenity and understanding that some stories needed to remain opaque to keep their magic alive. Her resolve strengthened with each experience, blending her own stories with the world as silent tales. Somewhere deep inside, she felt a gentle warmth, that spark of glowing amid endless discovery that had no need for words. The outside beckoned, yes, but her true adventure was unfolding within, where the wildest stories ever told awaited her discovery. With each breath, she felt the pulse of the world around her slow to match her own. Roots and rocks whispering secrets only she seemed to hear. The trees stooped low as if eager to share their ancient wisdom, their bark etched with memories of countless seasons. As she wandered deeper, she noticed a butterfly delicately tracing patterns on a dew-kissed leaf, a tiny but profound reminder of transient beauty. Her fingertips brushed the rough surface of a moss-covered stone, feeling its cool, velvety texture soak into her skin, anchoring her in the present moment. Somewhere nearby, a birdsong wove itself seamlessly into the fabric of silence and melody she hadn't realized she'd deep been craving. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the harmony dissolve the doubt and noise within her mind. In this internal sanctuary, she discovered a wellspring of courage, a spark ignited by the quiet strength of the landscape. Memories flicker like fireflies, illuminating her deepest longings and fears with gentle, flickering light. With each step, she shed layers of pretense, revealing a raw, unfiltered self that thrived here among unspoken truths. The scent of earth and blooming wildflowers mingled in her lungs, grounding her more firmly than words ever could. A squirrel darted past her, eyes glinting with mischievous intent, as if urging her to embrace her playful side. Shadows danced softly on the ground, shifting in rhythm with her heartbeat, reminding her that change was an eternal companion. Her journey became less about reaching a destination and more about surrendering to the unfolding story held in every breath and blank. She realized that within this vast, silent universe, belonging wasn't found in outward signs but in the acceptance of oneself amidst the chaos and calm alike. Layers of doubt peeled away and were replaced by a quiet confidence that grew from the soil of her own discovery. In this sacred space of her inner wilderness, she finally understood that her true adventure was always inward, a never-ending exploration of who she was meant to be. The trees seemed to lean in closer, as if to confirm her newfound clarity, the whispers clear now and their subtle rustling. Her heart, once a vessel of wanderlust and longing, now beat in perfect harmony with the world around her. She smiled softly, knowing that every step she took was an act of return homeward, into herself, where she could be both lost and found forever. As she moved through the quiet streets, the whispers of the wind seemed to breathe in sync with her heartbeat, creating a melody only she could hear. Nearby leaves shimmered softly in the dusk, echoing the gentle rhythm of her footsteps, as if the universe was humming along. Her breath was steady, each inhale pulling her deeper into a sense of peace she had long sought but never fully grasped. The glow of distant lanterns cast a warm, amber hue over her path, illuminating the way with quiet reassurance. She paused by a small fountain, listening to the delicate sound of water tumbling over stones, grounding her in the present moment. Memories flickered like fireflies, faint yet luminous, reminding her of stories she had carried quietly inside her for years. As she gazed upward, the sky unfurled into a tapestry of stars, each one a silent witness to her journey inward. Her shoulders relaxed further, releasing the tension she hadn't realized she'd been holding. The world around her seemed to pulse with an ancient, patient rhythm, echoing her own quiet, persistent search for belonging. She reached out her hand gently, brushing it against a rough tree trunk, feeling its steady, enduring presence. A small smile played on her lips as an understanding bloomed. This harmony was not something she had to chase, but something she had always carried within. With each step, she shed layers of doubt, replacing them with an openness that felt like coming home after a long voyage. Cool night air embraced her like an old friend, whispering secrets of resilience and grace. Her mind drifted to the future, but only long enough to remember that every moment was part of this perfect now. In that serenity, she finally saw herself reflected in the stillness of a sacred, infinite mirror. She knew her journey was far from over, yet somehow she felt completely whole. The world around her, in its gentle, relentless pulse, was finally in perfect harmony with her own. As she stood on the edge of a softly glowing hill, the sunset painted the sky in hues of amber and lavender, casting a warm glow over everything. Her breath came slow and steady, a whisper of wind stirring her hair as she closed her eyes and listened to the symphony of distant waves and rustling leaves. Memories flooded her mind, not the chaotic rush of past struggles, but a quiet collection of moments where she had truly felt alive. She realized that the journey hadn't ended. Instead, it had transformed into something more profound, a silent acceptance of herself. A sense of wholeness nestled deep within her, like an anchor, steady and unwavering amid shifting tides. She smiled softly, feeling a gentle tears of relief brimming, but not falling, more like a quiet celebration of all she had endured and become. Every scar, every moment of doubt had woven itself into the fabric of her being, giving her strength she never knew she possessed. The world around her seemed to breathe with her, as if nature itself recognized her newfound peace, its rhythms aligning with her heart. She took a step forward, feeling ground beneath her feet that was both familiar and new, a bridge between past and future. Her senses heightened. She could smell the scent of blooming flowers mingling with the salty air, taste the lingering sweetness of a distant childhood memory. The gentle hum of life pulsed through her veins, a reminder that even in silence there was movement, purpose, vitality. She understood that this completeness wasn't a final destination, but a continuous unfolding and ongoing dance with herself and the universe. The horizon stretched endlessly ahead, filled with promise rather than uncertainty, inviting her to explore with curiosity rather than worry. Her spirit felt light, unburdened by expectations, able to simply be. In that moment, she knew she carried a quiet knowing her journey was still unfolding, yet she was already whole enough to meet it with open arms. The world whispered back, an ancient lullaby reminding her that she was exactly where she was meant to be. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, she felt a serene resolve settle within, eager for whatever new chapters awaited. The gentle melody of the lullaby lingered in her mind, wrapping her in a warm, comforting embrace as twilight deepened around her. She closed her eyes briefly, allowing the softness of the memory to dissolve any lingering doubts or uncertainties. The world seemed to hush itself in reverence of this sacred moment, each gentle breeze whispering secrets only she could understand. A faint glow from the setting sun cast long shadows across the landscape, illuminating the path beneath her feet as if it were lit by celestial lanterns. Her heart beat steadily, syncing with the rhythmic cadence of her breath, grounding her firmly in the present. She felt an inexplicable sense of belonging, as if the universe itself had woven her into its intricate tapestry precisely where she stood. Flickers of ancient stories flickered through her mind, stories of those who had come before, finding peace in moments like this. A soft smile touched her lips, knowing she wasn't alone in her journey, every soul seeking purpose, comfort and understanding. The sky painted itself in hues of amber, rose, and violet, each color whispering promises of new beginnings. She reached out instinctively, planting her hand into the earth, feeling its gritty resilience under her fingertips. Her soul resonated with the quiet strength of the trees around her, their roots buried deep in roots of wisdom and patience. So much of her life had been a series of questions, yet here, now, she felt no urgent need for answers, only trust. The lullaby echoed softly once more, a silent benediction guiding her forward with gentle assurance. She breathed deeply, inhaling the scent of blooming wildflowers and damp soil, anchoring herself further into this sacred moment. Time seemed to slow, stretching out in tender pauses that invited reflection and gratitude. A cool evening wind brushed against her cheeks, carrying away worries that had weighed heavily before. She knew, deep down, that each step she took was part of an unfolding story only she could write, a tapestry richer than she'd ever imagined. With a peaceful heart, she turned toward the horizon, eager to embrace whatever new chapters lay just beyond the edge of sight. As she stepped forward, the gentle rustle of leaves beneath her feet whispered secrets of the forest's ancient song, inviting her deeper into its embrace. The air grew crisp, tinged with the scent of blooming jasmine and distant rain, each breath fueling her curiosity. Shadows danced softly around her, hints of stories woven into the fabric of the woods, waiting for her to interpret them. A faint glimmer caught her eye, a small, iridescent shell half buried in moss, reminding her of treasures hidden in unexpected places. She knelt, fingers brushing the cool surface, feeling a subtle pulse that seemed almost alive, almost aware of her presence. The terrain gradually shifted, revealing a clearing bathed in golden sunlight, where wildflowers swayed in harmonious silence. In the center stood an ancient oak, its sprawling branches like open arms welcoming her arrival. She traced the gnarled bark with reverence, sensing the history embedded within each scar and knot. Nearby, a stream giggled over smooth stones, its melody weaving with her heartbeat, filling her with a tranquil rhythm. A subtle breeze carried a whisper and an invitation to listen closer, so she closed her eyes, letting the sounds dissolve into her soul. Time seemed to slow as she absorbed the serenity, feeling her worries unravel one by one. A flock of songbirds erupted into joyful chorus overhead, celebrating her nearness without hesitation. With a deep breath, she realized this place was more than a sanctuary. It was a mirror of her own inner landscape, raw and vibrant. The horizon stretched endlessly beyond, promising adventures she hadn't yet dreamed of, waiting patiently for her to claim them. Her heart fluttered with anticipation, knowing each new step would weave her story even richer than before. She smiled softly, feeling the weight of past doubts lift, replaced by a sense of boundless possibility. Every detail in this moment felt like an affirmation her journey was uniquely hers to craft and cherish. As she turned her gaze forward once more, the horizon beckoned with a shimmering promise, just out of reach, yet forever within her grasp. With a steady breath, she took her first step toward the distant blur, feeling the gravel crunch beneath her boots like a heartbeat echoing through her chest. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows that danced at her feet, as if whispering secrets only she could interpret. Every inhale carried the mixture of anticipation and the faint scent of wildflowers lingering from her past adventures. Her mind drifted momentarily to the friends she'd left behind. Their voices faded, but their memories vivid, fueling her resolve. As she navigated the uneven terrain, her eyes caught a flash of iridescent feathers, perhaps a sign from the universe urging her onward. The wind played with her hair, tugging at her like an old friend eager for her company. A narrow stream crossed her path, its waters glittering like liquid silver, demanding her attention before she pressed forward. On its banks, she paused, contemplating how many stories had been born from moments like these, pausing, reflecting, then leaping again. With each step, her thoughts settled on the promise of discovery, weaving hope into the fabric of her journey. She reached a ridge and looked out over an expansive valley shrouded in mist, the horizon now a tapestry of shimmering lights and shadowy silhouettes. Her heart fluttered with a mix of fear and excitement, knowing that the unknown held both risks and treasures. She knew that her future was a blank canvas, waiting for her unique brushstrokes to paint her story with bold colors. The path ahead curved gently, inviting her to explore its twists and turns, to embrace uncertainty as part of becoming more herself. A faint trail of footprints in the dirt reminded her she was not alone. Those who came before her had walked this way, leaving whispers of their courage. Her gaze lingered on the horizon once more, feeling the pull of destiny whispering that her journey was not just about reaching a destination, but about becoming the author of her own legend. With renewed determination, she tightened her grip on her walking stick, ready to face whatever new chapters awaited beyond the shimmering promise. Every step became a declaration her story was unfolding, one breathtaking moment at a time. As she pressed forward, the air around her shimmered with a strange, golden hue hinting at mysteries yet to be uncovered. Flowers with petals like spun glass lined her path, their delicate surfaces catching the light and casting kaleidoscopic shadows on the ground. She paused briefly, her eyes scanning the horizon where the sky met a distant, swirling vortex of colors, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Her breath grew steady, every inhale filling her with quiet resolve, anchoring her amidst the swirling dreams of what might come next. The ground beneath her seemed to hum softly, vibrating with ancient energy that beckoned her deeper into this enchanted realm.